Hello, the Internet. My name is Jack O'Brien. I'm the founder and former editor-in-chief of Crack.com and the host of the new comedic news podcast, The Daily Zeitgeist.
And I'm Miles Gray, Jack's co-host. The Daily Zeitgeist is a daily comedic news podcast for people who like Crack.com. Are you okay? Do you want some water?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay, well, also, if you like podcasts from How Stuff Works, and getting the news from some of the funniest and smartest comedic and journalistic minds around, go to Apple Podcasts to listen and subscribe.
I think we got that.
This is the best of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz podcast.
One of the many things I loved about the Oscar-winning O.J. Simpson ESPN documentary was that O.J. Simpson did not truly get contaminated and corrupted until he got to Miami, got to this strip of land right outside our studios here. That is when O.J. Simpson really got corrupted. And in that vein, for many of your lives, Brent Musburger has been the voice of football and purity and Americana. Going back to Jimmy the Greek saying those appalling things. He sat down next to a former Miss USA, and they brought football to America in a quaint, old-fashioned way. But the later years of Musburger, as he swaggers through the tumbleweed in Las Vegas from sportsbook to sportsbook.
2nd down and 9.
Is on Twitter now.
And it's glorious.
And I'm here for it. Because now, the later years of Musburger, and I do believe 30 for 30 might want to get on this now. Musburger, the late years, as he teeters between brothels in Vegas, partaking in every debauchery, and then going to Twitter and writing this.
Yo, snowflakes, quit preaching. The violent world of Sam Huff sold NFL football to the masses. The Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders gave us a little sex with our violence. Deal with it.
Is deal with it the new
2nd down and 9.
Deal with it.
Wait, so you're saying a 30 for 30 on the...
Right now. Send the crew now and chronicle whatever's next from this point on.
Okay, but you don't care about anything else he's done previous to today.
That's right.
Okay.
Just from now on. We got all that stuff. Or if you want to do a 7-part series that wins an Oscar and goes 7.5 hours, fine. But I want these years.
Start at that tweet.
I want whatever you do. I want to make sure what happens next here because I've got him wearing a cowboy hat and nothing else for much of the day. Maybe beige dress socks. Maybe.
That guy is just crushing Vegas.
Oh, my God. Just snorting it. And that's how it should go. Like, I don't know what the age is, but I do feel like I should just be shipped for the remaining years to Vegas and just let Vegas have its way with me. What? Like, not leaving Las Vegas, or what is that? That's the Nick Cage movie, right? Leaving Las Vegas. Not drink myself to death with alcoholism, while falling in love with a lady of the night. What am I allowed to call sex workers now? What is that? Lady of the night sounds way too ancient. What is it? Is it still, is hooker and prostitute? Are those still okay?
Escort, maybe?
Escort? Escort's good. Escort's good. Man, it's the same thing. It's just dressed up.
Yep.
Escort.
So that's the plan? Just go to Vegas, let it have its way.
Just hang with Musburger. Just ride the Musburger train wherever it takes you.
Sounds like a blast.
Deal with it, America. The thing that happened on Monday, and they're still showing replays today. And, Stugatz, I think Stugatz speaks, as he often does for much of America. I was just looking at the Shazier thing. They just showed it again. And I was squeamish. Like, I look like I'm having trouble in my own skin. You can see my shoulders moving around. And Stugatz just looked at his computer and said flatly, I can't look at it. I won't look at it. I don't look at it. That's the uncomfortable truth that football gives you sometimes. But the thing that was so stark about that Monday night, because we wouldn't be complaining about that Monday night if it had just been the hits.
Right.
The two hits that looked gruesome, one knocked somebody out, the other one was crowded and penalty flags. We would have just said, oh, don't do that. But the thing that took it over the top is that everybody's feeling the thing that I'm feeling, which is we're all sort of feeling around for our spine because we saw a guy in the middle of the field, and he seemed to be by himself, right? The visuals on this were the visuals on this reached through your television screen and forced humanity upon you because you might not know who this person is. He's in a uniform. He's in armor. You might just be watching football for entertainment. You might not know what that person's face looks like. You might not know that that person is a great football player who has an armored man's body, but that face doesn't look so old. That face looks like it's kind of a young man's. And then you see him in the middle of the field, and you don't see any other bodies anywhere. He looks really alone, and he's grabbing at his spine, and he's scared, and he's moving his hands, and he doesn't know what it is, and then guys around him start kneeling and crying. And if that reaches through, and it grabs you by the throat, and it makes you pay attention, and everyone who saw it that way, because you could... What these guys do is so inhumanely violent that we lose sight of the fact that that happened to Shazier on what was, by any visual account, a benign hit.
Correct. And he wasn't hit. He made the hit. And sometimes it just happens that way.
These people live in such an inhumanely violent place that we are numb to it. And then in moments like Monday night, you get these visuals that just don't allow you to be numb to it. They force the humanity upon you. And it's why all of that, Stugotz, I don't want to look at it. I can't look at it. That's what football's saying.
Yes.
That's what Goodell is saying.
Right.
I don't want to look at it. I can't look at it. That's why they paid $700 million to make that concussion stuff go away. I don't want to look at it. I can't look at it. Will Smith is trying to win an Oscar, making a movie forcing you to look at it. And we said that of his movie as well. I don't want to look at it. I can't look at it. I won't look at it. You can't win an Oscar. Go back to making movies with aliens. But you speak for America on that one.
I try to avoid it at all costs. I just don't want to see it again. And the lasting image I have is when he went to the ground, he kind of reached up in the air. And you thought for a second, okay. He's moving his arms. But then he realized he couldn't move his legs.
And he
started reaching for the spine.
And he was scared.
Listen, I don't want to see it. Selfishly, for me, I don't want to see it because I know what I'm watching is terrible.
I get it. And I owe you and the shipping container and America and Disney an apology right now, because this is not what people want to be talking about this early in the morning on a Wednesday. And I had something else I wanted to talk about, but I get distracted, as I often do, because they're showing the video again of Shazier clutching his back and trying to find feeling in his fingers as teammates cry. So I will get to what I intended to get to, which is an important matter. We have a problem. Our show has a problem on its hands right now.
Yep.
Once upon a time, we had Jim Tomsula. Jim Tomsula was good for comedy. He was a birthplace. He was like a spring with a mustache of creativity. Jim Tomsula looks like the general manager for a regional bologna distributor. Jim Tomsula looks like the first guy a newly separated mom goes on a date with. Jim Tomsula sounds like a monster a Creole grandma comes up with to keep kids quiet. Keep quiet, or that Jim Tomsula is coming out the swamp. Jim Tomsula looks like a construction worker in an action film shouting, "You can't go that way," as the car blows through a barricade.
That's a great one.
Jim Tomsula looks like the men's league basketball ref who's losing control of the game and knows he can't get it back. Jim Tomsula looks like a local fireman who shows kids the Dalmatian on the firehouse tour. Anyway, here's the best one. Jim Tomsula looks like a 1980s Olympic bronze medalist shot putter. So we lost Jim Tomsula. Jim Tomsula's gone. He's no longer head coach. We replaced him very quickly with Ben McAdoo. No problem. No problem. Ben McAdoo.
It was a seamless transition. It really was.
And I've got all these Ben McAdoos. Ben McAdoo looks like divorce. Ben McAdoo looks like the manager of a struggling hot tub outlet store. Ben McAdoo looks like a pirate from an off-strip Vegas show circa 1996. Ben McAdoo looks like your friend who hates the NBA for being soft and not playing defense like they did when Bird played. Ben McAdoo looks like the guy who has taken it upon himself to keep the condo pool free of leaves. He looks like a bowler on ESPN Classic. He looks like the guy who married the hottest girl in high school 20 years later and takes care of her 6 kids while she's out at the bar with her ex, Doug Peterson. Anyway,
we're going to miss him.
He looks like a contestant on Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
He looks like the instructor in a 1980s bus driver training video.
He might be better than Tom Sula. I'm serious.
My point is, we've got a problem, people. Like a show-wide, countrywide, company-wide, Disney-wide, worldwide problem. We need another Tom Sula. We need another McAdoo. Who's it going to be? Like, I thought it was going to be you, Fisher.
Who's next?
Who's next? Somebody.
It's got to be from a bad team, right? They have to be a coach of a bad team.
Stugotz.
Well, because I want it to be Doug Peterson, but it can't be Peterson because his team's too good.
Why would it be Peterson?
There's a lot of ways you can go with Doug Peterson.
It's very clear what's happening here. We need a mustache.
Yeah.
Billy just toasted me, okay? Billy just agreed with that sentiment by taking a bite out of a giant donut and toasting with the donut. All right, good work, Billy. You're on fire today.
Don Lebatard.
Man, I hope the future looks like whatever Elon Musk is imagining.
Imagining is the right word because he ain't doing anything. He's just thinking about it.
I don't think it's fair to say he's not doing anything.
What's he doing? I mean,
Stugotz.
Seriously, what does he produce, though?
Tesla?
Well, besides that, the ideas are great. The ideas are great. Great ideas. The execution.
I mean, of course, because they've never been done before.
Well, let's go.
Okay.
This is the Don Lebatard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
In times of grief, sometimes people can't explain their behavior and the thing they're feeling. So I'm sorry that I have neglected the eulogy of Ben McAdoo over the last couple of days and that all we've done is laugh about everything going on with the Giants, and we didn't realize what we were losing. So I ask you this question, Stugotz. Does Ben McAdoo look more like he asked people what their walk-up song would be just so he can tell them that his would be Danger Zone?
Right.
Or does he look like the guy drinking a giant Slurpee who slams down 2 quarters and says next while watching you and your son play air hockey?
Both are good. I like the Danger Zone one, the walk-up song.
Okay, well, I need the complete list of this again, please, Guillermo, because I want to properly eulogize this man because we have suffered a great loss this year comedically. And we need to repair this quickly. And I'm even sorry that we haven't been ourselves this week because we need to properly eulogize the end of Ben McAdoo's career as our punching bag.
So you want the exact same list you just crumpled up?
That's right. I need another. I need another list just like that. Thank you. So let's do stat of the day.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day.
Right about now, maybe a couple of minutes ago, maybe a couple of minutes from now, you will be able to accuse Willie Taggart of recruiting players for 3 different schools in 1 calendar year. 3 different schools he's been trying to convince you is the best school that your boy should go to.
That's a hell of a stat.
In the last calendar year.
Is that a record?
I also want to get to something else here because I can't just sit here and lament at every moment college football's injustices. So let me instead lament at every moment pro football's injustices. A texter writes in here, Shazier makes millions and has access to the best health care on earth. Hope he's okay, but he's way down there on the list of relevant atrocities, even in the world of sports.
He's that guy.
That guy who's making a list of comparison shopping on atrocities, and he's got things higher on the list than Shazier possibly being paralyzed because some of the stuff that has come out the last couple of days that, again, creates that feeling in your stomach, Stugotz, is, the initial reports were a little more promising than maybe they should have been, and he's not actually leaving Cincinnati. He's going to have to stay in Pittsburgh, and now your stomach starts to close because you start thinking, wait a minute, Shazier now away from those lights what's he dealing with in those doctor's offices? What is his family dealing with in terms of fear? What is known in this private circle about never mind his career, his life, because we've told you these stories of how close Jason Taylor was to needing his leg amputated. The things that we don't understand about what we're watching on Sunday. Like, I feel as scared for Shazier right now as I did when this happened.
Right,
because
you don't know.
Initially they were positive and you felt better, and now you feel like that's the attachment. That is the attachment. Man, there's so much here, Sugats. The sport is threatening and dangerous. It's part of its appeal. All these guys go on to the field thinking they're not going to be the one that gets hurt that way. All of them are surprised when it's them. All of them get scared when the reminder makes an appearance.
Right.
Look at this. This guy you care about. This guy, that's like, think about that. If the football players themselves are a little bit disconnected from the danger, how could we not be? When the football players themselves seem to be surprised anytime one of them goes down in a way that calls for a prayer circle and a stretcher. They seem surprised every time.
Right.
And it's like, how can this be a surprise to you? This is what this is. Like, this is around every corner. We're taking timeouts and putting commercials in so people don't have to sit there and wait around watching a guy writhe on the floor.
Is it surprise or shock? Shock that it happened to one of their guys, one of their teammates, one of their friends.
But what happens to them is this. Yes, what it is they've got an intimate connection point. It's always something that's going to happen to someone else.
Right.
And then it happens right next to you. It happens to a neighbor. It happens right there to somebody you care about. And you're like looking at him and you're like, wait a minute, this guy is the best of us. This guy represents, he does everything the right way. He is a pillar of professionalism. He is young and in his prime. That was a nothing hit. What happened? And in that locker room after the game, Antonio Brown saying, karma, because it's not going to be him. It's never going to be him. Even though he's got to think that way. Otherwise, he wouldn't play that way. Antonio Brown has to play like it's never going to be me. That'll never be me. Michael Irvin had to quit because at the end, he was like, that might be me. Michael Irvin had to quit. Michael Irvin was not ready to leave football. Michael Irvin had to leave because they said to him, if your spine can't handle any more professional football.
Just to be clear, Antonio Brown was doing the karma stuff because of Burfict. Not because of what happened.
No,
right.
I know, but I'm saying all of it. I'm saying the violence of the game. Yes, no. I know that. I thank you for the correction. I know that Antonio Brown isn't doing karma on Shazier. I'm just saying that when you hit like that and when you play like that, Antonio Brown took what looked like a bigger hit in that game than Shazier delivered.
Correct.
Burfict took a bigger hit than the one Shazier looked like he was delivering.
I did clarify that for you, but it still isn't fun.
What?
Oh, you got the whole story.
Awkward transition. Time for some ads.
Fine. Well, you got the story.
Yeah, and earlier in that segment, you said that he had to say in Pittsburgh when he had to say in Cincinnati.
Did I?
Yeah.
$2.
Neither of those things are fines. Those are $2 for you.
Oh.
A great deal of Metro
See if I have
PCS
some
right
money
now.
on me. Let me check real quick. No, got nothing on me.
I saw cash. I physically saw cash.
I need that. All right, I got $1. $1 good? Oh, I got a 5. I pulled out the 5 by mistake.
You should just leave that out.
Just leave it out for future cause.
Don Le Batard.
You're announcing that you will not announce that they are a good team until they've won back-to-back.
Yeah.
But because you are taking away all of Kevin Durant's championships in your personal record book,
right,
you are never allowing him to win them back-to-back, even if they win them back-to-back, thus securing that you never have to identify them as a great team.
Correct.
Stugats.
I hate when I wander around in your head and see all the empty spaces and the tumbleweed blown around in it.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
Want to go around the room here? Yes or no, Chris? Yes or no? Herm Edwards is a good applicant for the newly vacated seat on our show of Ben McAdoo.
Yes.
Guillermo, is Herm Edwards going to be a quality applicant? Are we going to be able to make fun of some Arizona State football over the course of the next year because of the stuff that Herm Edwards is doing?
He's okay. Someone suggested Mike Leach.
Not bad.
Mike Leach, but Mike Leach is crazy. The thing with Herm that I found funny as he's made his way around the network today, and I love Herm. Everybody loves Herm, right? I mean, there aren't a whole lot of people out there that don't love Herm. But Herm has been distorted with that much time in a tabloid market as the head coach, and you play to win the games, and then followed by 10 years almost of television. This is a person who has gotten used to the sound of his voice being praised. And so he goes in there and he's like, I got this press conference.
Right.
No problem. This is showtime. And
I heard him with Golick and Wingo this morning, and he claimed on the Devil stuff that he said yesterday, where it appeared he didn't know his school's name. He said he was joking. He said, you guys know me. You know me very well. I was just joking. That's what he said.
Coach Rubino, Devil's Digest.
Devil's Digest, huh?
Yes, sir.
Where you located, my man?
Right here in Tempe.
Okay, Devil's Digest. Okay. I'm Catholic now. I'm a Christian. Watch out, them devils. Just saying.
Well,
we're good, brother.
You can see devils all over the place.
I ain't taking it personal.
So here are some more Ben McAdoo, Stugotz.
Okay.
Because this is it. Like, we've got to say goodbye to Ben McAdoo. He's not going to get another starting job, right? He's not going to get another job as a head coach, rather.
Never again, no.
So, does Ben McAdoo look like a disguised CEO on Undercover Boss?
That's really good. That's really good.
I'm going to miss him.
Does he look like the lead referee on a clearly unsanctioned wrestling event?
Yeah.
I'm going to miss this dude so much. Does he look like the dad who is trying unsuccessfully to get the dancing going while chaperoning his daughter's school dance?
It's pretty good.
You know what happened? We got in his head. That's why he changed his look.
Oh, yeah, it was.
I think this might be one of the best ones. Ben McAdoo looks like the security guard at your brother-in-law's neighborhood security gate.
That's a on-air debut for that one.
Yes.
I really like that. Does Ben McAdoo look like the initial suspect on Law & Order that later proves to be innocent of the crime because that would be just too obvious?
They were so good.
Disguised CEO on Undercover Boss. What is the best for all time? Are we going to announce that the best for all time, Ben McAdoo, the category's closed, we're done, and we need to open a new category? It's a stressful time in the history of our show.
It is. Yeah.
We moved so effortlessly from Dave Wanstash to Jim Tomsula to Ben McAdoo in terms of just being okay in 2017. One of the few places anywhere in American media where you have true freedom to just mock a man. Mock a man's mustache. Like, I don't got to worry of whom I'm offending. I don't care about what lawyer you hire. I'm just going to mock your mustache, and I'm just going to run through this free space in a way that no one's going to touch me. And I'm going to soar into the sky above your litigation and your political correctness, and you will allow it because mustaches are ridiculous.
Because look at it.
They're universally funny.
And so you will allow it. You will not allow me to make fun of anyone else. I mean, the Simpsons are sitting out here apologizing on behalf of one of their stereotypical characters. Which one? I don't know. They're all stereotypes. Every damn one on the show.
You have a Mexican character that's in a bumblebee costume.
Not allowed anymore. None of it. One place. The face of Ben McAdoo. What I'm saying is the space is shrinking for us.
You're right, yes.
The space where we can mock the appearance of others, it's shrunk, and it's just under Ben McAdoo's nose. And it's under Jim Tomsula's nose, and it's under Dave Wanstead's nose, and I feel bad about some of that because I don't know if it's covering up something else. I didn't know it at the time. Anyway, do we need another mustache, or are we going to go clean shaven on the leader coach? Because Fisher was there for us, man. If Jeff Fisher was still in the league with Case Keenum and Goff playing this way, right. He had them both, and he kept putting up 3 field goals a game.
I don't know if we can go with a clean face.
You don't know if we can go with a clean face. Guys, we need your help. Look, man, can we crowdsource this? I don't know how to do this. I'm willing to internet panhandle. Let's start a GoFundMe.
I mean, a lot of people have said Doug Marrone, but clean face.
So Marrone's good, though. Marrone is good because he's sitting there in Jacksonville. He's eating bologna sandwiches. He's going to 4 interception his way into the Super Bowl.
Bologna.
Come on. I did that for the comedic effect.
Fine.
Don't.
Bologna.
It's funnier that way. It's funny. You can't start finding me for jokes.
Bologna.
The word is funnier. You can't dispute that the word baloney is not as funny as the word
Bologna.
That, of course, is Vin Scully saying the word baloney.
Bologna.
Correctly, I might add.
Bologna.
Make me a bicycle, clown.
Guillermo, put this on the poll. If you knew with 100% certainty that your grammar were correct, and Vin Scully came by and told you that what you said was wrong, would you concede that you got it wrong? If Vin Scully says it's Bologna, it's Bologna. Like, that's how I feel about the credibility of Vin Scully.
Right.
I don't even know if it is Bologna or Bologna.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I feel the same way. Yeah, I think if Costas said something, if Costas tells me I'm wrong, then I'm wrong as well. Yeah,
we
there are
had
a couple
this
of
happen.
guys.
We had this happen one time. We were making fun of a broadcaster around here for getting Antetokounmpo's name wrong, or so, that all of us were pronouncing it wrong, and he was pronouncing it right because he had gone to the person and asked them the pronunciation. So if Vin Scully says it's Bologna, I thought it was Bologna.
Bologna.
Don't forget, you can hear more of my Sons Dan and Stu weekdays starting at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
Hi, everyone. Stugatz here. Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you are confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, and your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you the same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you are getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugatz. That's rocketmortgage.com/Stugatz, STUGOTZ. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states. NMLS consumeraccess.org number 3030.
Dan Le Batard.
Did you love The Joker's Wild? 61% of the audience said no.
Oh, you damn young people soaring with so much ignorance.
Stugatz.
You don't even know what we're talking about. The Joker's Wild is the truth, man. Stay woke.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, creators of the Name Your Price tool. Choose from a range of coverage options and pick the price that works for you. Steven Jackson going to join us in a half hour, 11:30 a.m. Eastern on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster and Cincinnati Bengals safety George Iocca were each suspended one game. Yes, I was asking.
No,
that.
you got it.
Okay, good. Were each suspended one game for hits in Monday night's game. New England Patriots tight end Rob Gronkowski's one-game suspension for a late hit in Sunday's game against the Buffalo Bills has been upheld after an appeal. And finally, Bryan Singer has been fired as director of the forthcoming Freddie Mercury biopic?
Yep.
Bohemian Rhapsody, according to The Hollywood Reporter. 20th Century Fox made the decision due to Singer's abrasive on-set behavior and a deteriorating relationship with several of the film's cast members, including its principal star, Rami Malek. Singer is said to have been involved in a confrontation with Malek, which allegedly saw him throw an object at the actor. As a result of the incident, Malek complained to the studio, charging Singer with not being present on set, unreliability, and unprofessionalism. No matter what your budget is, take the JCPenney Holiday Challenge and find surprising gifts at even more surprising prices. Save on toys, apparel, and name-brand gifts your family will absolutely love. Come in the store or go to jcp.com and get everything on your list for less than you think. JCPenney. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in the SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Everything is sports. Everything is sports. That story you just told, Hollywood should be covered the way sports are covered. We have Entertainment Tonight shows, but we need debate shows on Hollywood. Who's right? Who's wrong? Pick a side.
Yes.
Because all the stuff you find in a locker room, you're going to find in Hollywood as well.
Absolutely. How do you think those shows would do, though? I don't think people care enough about that stuff for those shows, too.
Well, they care enough to keep the gossip magazine industry alive at a time that magazines aren't exactly flourishing. Like, people care enough about celebrity to keep TMZ alive.
Right.
To create an entire enterprise, entire economy around TMZ.
I guess I'm just trying to think, like, you have a couple of people who are debating the issues, the Hollywood issues of the day.
A network devoted. I mean, we do it. Look, Stugatz, look at television today. Today is a Wednesday. And Wednesdays are tough in the sports content business when everyone is yammering about something. Look across this network today. Everyone is flailing. Watch the network, all our networks today. Everyone grappling for content. I right now on Golic and Wingo, that's a tape recording, but I'm watching Dolphins-Broncos highlights. That's right. Let's see here. Oh, I'm looking at First Take, and it's LeVar Ball pulls LiAngelo from UCLA. When did he do that? This weekend.
Right.
That was 3 days ago.
It's funny because those Dolphin highlights you're seeing, Golic and Wingo just got around to Adam Gase doing the onside kick up 33-5 or something.
No, that's a secret we get to on Wednesdays. We get to some of the stuff that wasn't important enough for Monday and Tuesday, but we'll just throw it on your Wednesday.
Unless something big happens on Wednesday.
Well,
right.
Why would we get to a Dolphin Broncos game? The violence in that Steelers-Bengals game on Monday night, those two guys, I'm watching it, and I'm seeing the reaction to it around the league, and I just don't know what you do with how light Gronkowski got off. Gronkowski, it makes me wonder, the fact that Gronkowski got off, Ben Roethlisberger has said that he doesn't think it's fair that his wide receiver gets the same suspension that Gronkowski gets when Gronkowski's hit was so much dirtier. And it really makes me think Gronkowski's penalty is so light that it makes me wonder if it's not the violence that matters. It matters if you did it in one of the games that everybody was watching.
Well, people are watching the Patriots all the time.
No, but I'm talking about one of the Monday night. We were made America.
That's an isolated game.
Look,
yeah,
man,
okay.
the penalties that came down. The penalties that came down on Monday's violence to guts.
Right.
Man, Sean Taylor did that in a Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
Like that, what I saw on Monday, I'm telling you, it's how things look that get penalized in this league, not how things are. It's all about how do things look. Monday night looked bad because you had the uncomfortable truth of Shazier is grabbing at his spine.
Right.
And then around that, you see all the other violence.
But the people who are determining this, what the suspension should be, they're not doing it based on public reaction. Like, just put on the videotape, and you could see what Gronk did was a lot worse than what Juju Smith-Schuster did in that game. Like, that's obvious. Are they doing it based on public reaction?
Wait a minute. Get out of the way.
This show's been great. Fellas, you complain about Wednesdays. They're my favorite. TGIW, I say. Thank God for Wednesday. We can revisit onside kicks that happened on Sundays. We can ask the pressing questions. Like, are the Vikings for real?
I just saw on First Take, is Brady the Super Bowl or is he the MVP favorite?
Well, is he? People want to know. And I know I've been gone for a while. Been a little busy.
Yeah.
I've been at Art Basel. It's a party in hell that Art Briles throws. Week long. It's amazing. We just talk about things like, are the Vikings for real? Did Kevin Durant do the easy thing? Where do you think LeBron's going? And we just say, LeVar Ball, huh? How about that? Anyways, and we've oh God, I've been so busy lately. You got the Art Basel hosted by Art Briles, and now the boss man is making me put together this entire list because all these people in Hollywood are going to be coming down here. I got to clear out all this room.
Big man.
Harvey Weinstein wants window hoppers. So many demands.
Spacey? What's Spacey? What's Spacey want?
Spacey. Poof. He's gone. Anyways, now that it's a Wednesday, I'm going to get back to my happy hour. I'm going to go head over to Applebee's. You hear they got Long Island iced teas for $1?
Yes, $1.
That's amazing.
For the rest of the year. Yes, that is
calling my Uber right now.
Yeah, right. See you later. Have fun.
Later, guys. And remember, are the Vikings for real?
Are the Vikings for real? Okay.
Does anyone say, remember? Here's a question. Does that ever happen?
No, leave now.
Just
all
you. Yes.
Thank
All right. Happy Wednesday.
All right.
Okay.
So that, of course, is
Missed them.
the dirty demon of debate. I'm going to explain this only for one reason here, Stugatz. If you are new to the program and you just tuned in and you don't know anything that happened here, we are televised on ESPNU. And with lights and fanfare and graphics, the dirty demon of debate makes an appearance to argue sports topics of the day, dirty demon of debate. His favorite program is First Take. He loves to argue about sports and argue about whether the Vikings or the Raiders are for real. And so that's what that character is.
And don't forget, it's ridiculous that Juju Smith-Schuster got the same penalty as Rob Gronkowski.
Right.
He got a penalty for just taking over a guy, right? Well, yep. Drink's coming out.
All right, see you later. But so yesterday, this is what happens on our show, okay? Because I'm always telling people that ESPN is a menu. It's not One Food Sports. It's how do you like your sports? We'll prepare it for you to order, and you can find it somewhere on our many networks. But so yesterday, what ended up happening, because our show is weird and goofy, and because we do this thing every week where we have to pay penalties if our team lost that weekend, Stugotz had to cut the toenail of Greg Cody, the big toenail.
Still reeling.
And, Mike, what do you do with this? This happens all the time. So ESPN takes what we did that day and puts it on its social media presence. And what happens is, because we're still running up against it, we've been here for years, our following is really loyal, like uncommonly. The number of people who get our show outrank anybody in the company in terms of people who are downloading our stuff and getting to our stuff because they like the way that we're doing it, which is slightly different than how ESPN normally does it.
It's amazing. For every negative comment there is left on, say, Instagram, there are 3 comments right underneath it complaining to the other person, you don't get the show in caps.
Well, but what I'm wondering, though, so ESPN sends this out, and what I realize is just how many people are still just poisonously hating the idea that we're doing anything that would never mind mock sports, but just not properly respect that we're supposed to, in these moments, be talking about whether the Vikings are for real. And so what ends up happening in that comment section is a lot of, this is where ESPN is at now, doing anything to grab viewers. Pathetic. You think that was an attempt by us to grab viewers?
That was our stunt.
You think that's something that's something you think that we said to ourselves, you know what? Isn't it? ESPN clearly sinking. You know what'll save it? Greg Cody's foot. That's a thought that we had around here. But we get a lot of this. This is all the evidence needed to prove that ESPN is garbage now. This is why ESPN has lost so many viewers and subscribers. Pretty sure this is exactly why I don't watch or listen to ESPN shows anymore.
They've run into that enough times.
Yes, well, that's the reason. Because there have been so many times at ESPN where I tune on ESPN and there's an old guy's foot. It's yellow and it's got mung in the corners of the toenail. And one of the co-hosts is cutting that nail. I'm sick of it. I don't want it anymore. Bring me Tebow talk. I'm not sick of that. But no, what I'm curious about is I would ask you, for all of those, of many of you.
Oh, Tebow.
Yes.
Remember that guy?
You go have your drinks.
Applebee's.
Go have your drinks. Will you just check your local reports on what Disney is presently doing? Because, look, it's terrible, and I am not here to tell you that it's not terrible when people around here get fired, when there are layoffs. ESPN has had to let go of employees in a way that has been sad for many of us at the company. But I think people get confused with what's happening at ESPN. ESPN is not losing money. Just check your local reports on what ESPN is presently planning in terms of world domination of sports. And the amount of money that they're talking about spending on those things. And those of you who want ESPN to fail so very badly, I just ask you to make a distinction. This distinction. The difference between making a grotesque amount of money and then making a slightly less grotesque amount of money is not the same as failing. It's not the same as bleeding. It's not the same as losing. It's not the same as losing money. The company has gone from making a grotesque amount of money to now making a slightly less grotesque amount of money. And the next incarnation of this, just read the reports out there, the next incarnation of whatever this is world domination, with the kind of sums being thrown around that it doesn't matter whether there's a toenail that you object to on one of the networks.
Don Lebatard.
I'm telling you, we are good here. Trust me. I've never let you down.
Stugats.
It's like living a life. Imagine living your life, and every time you take a step, you know you might step on a landmine. That's my life. I'm married to a minefield, and he doesn't know that he's a minefield. It's just like, trust me, Dan, we got this, while cleaning the chocolate out of his teeth with his tongue.
This is the Dan Lebatard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
We always like talking to Steven Jackson. It's always fun. We always get uncommon honesty that sort of blowtorches your face. So we're 10 minutes from now. We're going to talk to Steven Jackson. But getting back into the business of ESPN, and I don't want to spend a lot of time here, but you guys do seem to be fascinated by the business of ESPN. So if you're reading the reports, there is a major acquisition in the works. And I've asked very few questions and talked to very few people about what any of this means. So I don't know much more about this than what is being reported. I haven't talked to anybody with any details. But what's being reported all over the place is that Disney and ESPN are thinking about buying all of these Fox regional things. Now, if you don't understand how the business of sports works, the reason the Dodgers can have that payroll that will make them relevant in baseball for the next 15 years is because their cable contract represents some of the rare programming in America today that is can't miss programming. You can't TiVo it. I mean, you can, but people want to know in real time what's happening with their sporting events, especially their teams in the emotion business.
It's one of the few things left that you want to watch it live.
The reason Magic Johnson bought into the Dodgers, the reason the Dodgers went for that asking price, the reason the Dodgers are able to spend that much on payroll is because they have that enormous television contract. The reason the Marlins can't is because they don't. Anyway, ESPN is talking about buying all of those. And one of the things that I found interesting watching what was happening, just reading about it, is that ESPN didn't want FS1. And I wondered to myself, not knowing anything at all, wait a minute, did ESPN just cut Bayless and Cowherd out of this? Because I don't know. I don't know what happened there, but it felt like when I'm reading about this, not knowing anything about that kind of part of the business,
right?
I'm reading about it and I'm like, wait a minute. Did ESPN just try to buy all at Fox that's valuable and just leave the rest of it to drift?
FS1 and a couple other properties, though, right? But FS1.
And again, that's not me knowing anything. I'm saying this. In fact, I probably should have played the reckless speculation by the reckless speculation
hold on a second.
sounder.
Don't say another word.
It's too late. No, it's too late. We can't do it this way.
Yeah, but this way you'll be good.
Time to throw away all journalistic credibility and get reckless. Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
Two things. You're good, and ESPN is not buying anything. Disney is, and that's a fine. $1. I can spot you if you need one. You need $1?
How is that it's?
Oh, you got a name wrong.
I didn't get a name wrong.
Yeah, you did.
Well, you did. Yeah,
The name of a company.
I didn't give it a name wrong.
The reports are Disney, not ESPN.
Disney, yes. Disney owns this company, ESPN, not the other way around. $1. No biggie. Just keep it moving.
Mike.
After you put your $1 down.
Since we're recklessly speculating, I'm not putting. Wait, how did you guys talk? I didn't get anything wrong. I got something wrong there. I didn't get a name wrong, which is what I'm fined for. You guys almost talked me into that. I went by reflex to my wallet.
Oh.
The fine system around here is I get fined if I get someone's name wrong.
All right, well, tone's not great. $1.
The tone fine is $5.
Oh, well.
It's the biggest of the fine.
I hope you have an extra 4 in there somewhere. Do you? I could spot you if you need it. Pay me back. You're good for it. But
you get fined every time that you call out a fine of mine that's not a fine. So you are now up to $7 this segment.
You are working backwards, my friend. All you have to do is put down $1. The show keeps moving. Now you're in for 5 and possibly 6. And if you get crazy with the tone again, it's going to be 11. Simmer down. Love you.
This is why Marcus Peters takes a penalty flag and throws it into the crowd right here.
And just a reminder, you're good, whatever you're going to say.
Oh, go bleep yourself.
That's a fine. And that is Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks.
Steven Jackson's next.
Don Le Batard.
Oscar Robinson had 41 triple-doubles back in 61-62. 41.
Stugats.
It's Robertson, but...
Big O.
Okay, but...
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
Stugats has most of the reading responsibilities around here, and he's got a very odd form of dyslexia, very limited, where sometimes he'll put some E's before some L's. He can't say the plural of woman, which is women. Yep. He always makes it singular. Mm-hmm. And I think we just discovered another one. I think you're saying suspended. I don't think you're saying suspended. I think you're saying us. I think I've heard that throughout the show today. I've heard suspended from you, like I feel like 3 or 4 times, because the S, the U, and the S is tripping you up.
We're each suspended. Maybe. Possibility.
We're each suspended. Like I've heard it that way.
It depends what word leads into the next word. So there's a good possibility. So it's each, and there's a good possibility I said suspended. I'm telling you. Okay. I know myself very well at this point. I'm 45 years old. There's a good chance. Right. I think you're right, actually.
Yeah, that's in the breakfast class of mess-ups that you have.
No K's and breakfast. Steven Jackson with us here on ESPN Radio. Always grateful for his presence. And I'm just curious, and thank you for being on with us, as always. I'm just curious what you make as you see what's happening with Kevin Durant. It doesn't seem like he's enjoying himself very much. He's doing all the winning, but he's wanting to disprove people at every turn. And I'm just curious what you, as you view all of this, does he seem like he's enjoying winning to you?
Yeah, I mean, that's a part of the game. I mean, Kevin plays at a high level. He loves the game of basketball. I mean, getting kicked out is not a big deal to me. I think more guys need to get kicked out. As you see, all the guys that get kicked out are all-star players of the team. And then that's the big problem I have with the NBA is the guys 6 through 15 don't really care. You got 2, 3 stars on your team and the coach, and they're the only ones that really care about the game, willing to get kicked out, not caring about money, but really caring about being treated fairly during the game and caring about winning games. And you see that with a lot of the stars, and that's one thing I love about the game. Getting kicked out is not really bad to me. It's showing passion for the game to me.
All right, hold on a second. We're going to try and get your audio cleared up here if we can. I wasn't actually talking about him getting kicked out of 3 of the last 18 games that he's played. I don't much care about that. I'm actually talking about just the way that he's fighting with people on Twitter and his entire 6-month tour of go bleep yourselves, I won.
We discussed this yesterday. He has the argument ender, and he won a championship. Whatever decision he made, whether you agree with it or not, and I don't, he was validated by winning a title. He has it. He doesn't need to argue with anyone anymore. He has the trophy, he has the ring, and he has the finals MVP.
Yeah, but I don't think that validation, like you would think that validation would feel validating, but his behavior would suggest to you that he is still out there searching for validation.
Correct.
And I'm not just talking about him being ejected from games, although I want to go down that path a little more with Steven Jackson when he says, I'd like more guys to get ejected from games.
It's for me, I'm totally with you. It's not getting ejected from games. It's fighting with people on Twitter, strangers who don't feel like you've earned your championship. Dude, you've worked hard. You've got there. Forget about me. Forget about people on Twitter who are criticizing you. You've worked hard. You're one of the best basketball players we've ever seen, and yet you're fighting with complete strangers because they feel like you took a shortcut. I'm one of them. But who cares what I think, and who cares what everyone else thinks? And clearly he does, and that's strange.
Well, that's what we were talking about, Stephen. We weren't talking about the ejections because I, like you, don't care about the ejections either. We were talking about, fighting as a Twitter egg and all that stuff where he's on this Bleep the Doubters tour. He already won his title, and he's still fighting with people over validation. That's what we were asking you about.
Yeah, I actually talked to Durant about the fake page, and I told him I didn't.
All right. I'm sorry, Stephen. I'm sorry for wasting your time. Let's go, audio people. Come on, man. It's a phone line works perfectly fine. We're going to screw this up multiple times trying to get it on television. It's a radio show. Fix it. What is that? I mean, we can make a phone call to somebody and they can pick up the line, and this person's in Bristol and we can't get an audio line to work.
In fact, let's do that. Let's call him on the phone.
I mean, honestly, let's talk about complicating things with bureaucracy.
Well, I'm certain they were thinking an ISDN line would be a nice, clean sound for us, but clearly someone was wrong.
But it was okay on the first time, but we're going to go back to it. It's going to be bad again.
Right. I'm with you.
So Kevin Durant is now going to get the minutes and the touches on that team because Steph Curry's going to sit for a while.
Yes.
And that's going to be fun to watch, what that team looks like.
Without Curry.
Yes, where it's just...
We've seen it without Draymond. We've seen it, obviously, without Durant. Have we seen it for an extended period without Steph Curry?
No,
Yeah,
we saw it for a few playoff games. We did see it for a few playoff games.
Right.
But not very much. All right, let's try this again with a normal phone, Steven. Sorry for wasting your time. Anyways, go. Kevin Durant, go.
Yeah, I got you. Well, for the most part, I called him and told him how disgusted I was with the fake page. You know, as a brother, you know, I told him I didn't agree with it. So that's one thing. Second of all, I like stooping low and replying to that one guy on Twitter or Instagram that has something to say that don't think I'm going to reply back to him. You know, I like to be that guy. Okay, you want to post something on my page saying that, okay, perfect example. People get on my page, Steven Jackson, you never won a championship. How can you talk about Durant and all those other people? I do have a championship, and just for that guy that don't know, you're an idiot, and I got a surprise for you. Welcome to Matumbo world. You just got blocked. I love being that guy. I love being that guy.
Really?
I love being that guy. So I don't, because there's always somebody that get on there that don't know nothing about basketball, and they just want to create a page with 2 followers and be that jerk. Well, I'm a jerk too. I can be that jerk too, and I love being him.
But I get maybe responding to 1 or 2 of them. Responding to dozens of them.
Not creating a fake page. That's awful.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Well, how does that work, Steven?
I'm surprised Steven Jackson cares about that
I
stuff.
love how forward you are, and I love that any criticism that Steven Jackson makes on television is someone that they're getting a phone call before he makes that criticism on television. And so when you're telling him you're disgusted with him, what is he saying to you?
Well, you know, the fact that I went on TV and said that I lose all respect for him, and the fact that he got a fake page, he called me. He was upset with it, but we were able to talk about it on the on the phone because we're brothers. It's very few guys that's been to my mom's house. Kevin Durant's one of them. So as a brother, he understood it, but he was kind of hurt. But you should be hurt because you did the dumb stuff. You created the fake page, so you should be upset about it. But I will never agree with nothing like that. You have a championship. That's all the validation you need.
But, Steven, the thing that I'm surprised by and the thing that I wanted to discuss with you, because even though you're not old, you're 39, you played in the league for a long time and ended up being somebody that was a very savvy veteran. It seems to me like Kevin Durant, who has been in your mother's home, is too sensitive for this stuff. Like, he's a great basketball player, but why so sensitive?
Yeah, you know what? And you're right. A lot of times it looks like that, you know, and I don't know why, you know. I don't know why. I don't know why he's so sensitive. You're making all the money in the world. You're a top 2 basketball player in the world. I don't know why he's so sensitive, but at the same time, you never know how much disrespect that he's getting, and you got to reply to some things. Now, I agree with you. He's been real sensitive about a lot of things, but some people, they just need to be addressed. And but the fake page, I don't agree with. But like I have to continue to say that some people need to be addressed at times.
So I'm wondering, Steven, how does this work with you? If you were dealing in your locker room with a sensitive player, how does Steven Jackson hold his words?
Not at all. You soft. I got all kind of words that I can't say that I would call him on air right now. No, you're soft. You cupcake, all that. I'll call him everything. And if he feels froggy, he can jump, which I doubt if he do. So, but if you soft, you know it. You really don't have to tell nobody they soft. You know what I'm saying? But 9 out of 10 times, everybody know you soft. It ain't just in the locker room. The whole league know you soft.
Give us an example of you calling a guy soft.
No, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I need the proper sounder to do this. Please, Mike, go. Hold on. What do you mean exactly by if he's feeling a little froggy, he can jump?
If he's feeling like he's disrespected, it's an old saying back in the hood, Dan. Say, respect it or check it. You going to respect what I say or come do something about it? 9 out of 10 times they ain't.
Yeah, well, with you, it's pretty much 10 out of 10 times, isn't it?
Well, some people understand that when I'm saying stuff as far as in the locker room or on the court, I'm saying it for the betterment of the team because I want to win, because I take the game so serious. The game has changed my life, my family's life. So anybody that don't play it, I'm willing to fight you and get you off my team before you on this team not 100% with us. I'm willing to take that. I'm willing to take that fight.
God,
we call it a fade where I'm from. I'm willing to take that fade.
Yeah. I love you, by the way. I was with Dan. I thought it was 10 out of 10 times. Like, have you ever said something like that to a teammate and he actually jumped back at you?
Did Froggy ever jump?
You know what? I'm pretty sure a couple times. It's been a couple times where I had to check teammates for not playing hard, for not taking the game serious. And as you know, I've never been in an NBA fight on the court or in the locker room. Maybe in the stands, but not on the court and in the locker room. So I never had a fight with none of my teammates, and that's why Tim Duncan called me the best teammate of all, the ultimate teammate, because I'm always with my teammates. And anything, if I'm addressing them or coming to them in any type of way, it's me leading by example, because they can guarantee if I'm complaining about them not playing hard, I'm going to go out and play harder for them.
Always good talking to you, Stephen. We know we love you. Thank you, sir.
Now, anytime you need me.
Catch more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
Hey girl, have you done something new with your scales? Using new moisturizer? Nice. It really brings out the hazel in your eyes. Oh, hold on. Are you using whitening strips too? Your fangs look good, girl. Really good.
A really charming snake charmer? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
Wait, what? Have you been doing Pilates too?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Ron McGill, Zoo Miami. We love having him on. We love his personality, and we learn something every week about the animals. So bring your questions here. Good questions. 786-456-4837. Amin, you're on with Ron McGill of Zoo Miami. Amin, go ahead.
Hi, Ron. My neighbor had an owl on top of its house, and I showed it to my kids. I thought that was really cool. Then I realized that the owl lives on top of that house and hoots at night every single night. And so I wanted to ask, first of all, are owls indigenous to Arizona? And second of all, can you domesticate an owl?
Okay, owls are indigenous. They're found throughout Arizona. There's several types of owls out there, barn owls, great horned owls. You cannot own an owl unless you have a special federal permit. All birds of prey you need to be permitted for. The word domestication really relates, it means thousands of years of being kept under human care. So domesticating an owl would not be the right term. You can probably tame an owl down, but again, you need a federal permit to do that. You should feel lucky that owl's out there, even if it is hooting, because that's doing an incredible amount of rodent control, vermin control. Keep in mind that rodents are probably responsible for more destruction and more disease than any other mammal in the world. So that owl, by the fact that he's collecting them and eating them, is doing you a huge service. And if you want to do something really cool, wherever he perches, underneath that perch, what they do every night after they eat like a mouse, they regurgitate a pellet. And the pellet is all the undigested hair and bones. And I did this as a kid. I would take those pellets and I dry them out, and then you open them up and you get the entire skeletons of the animals they're eating. And it's so cool because I found there was an owl in my house that was eating bats, it was eating birds, it was eating rats, it was eating mice, and you get these entire skeletons totally cleaned out because the digestive system has done it. Great project for science.
Guillermo put on the poll, was McGill a weirdo as a kid?
Oh, you know what, Dan? Why do you keep throwing the hate at me, man? You got to stop drinking the haterade because it's really a neat project. It really is.
It's just
you
a question.
Pick up these things.
I was just wwere you a weirdo as a kid? It was just
an odd question to be asking.
Why couldn't the question be, was Ron a really cool kid? Why couldn't that
because what you just
there?
described wasn't cool. Come on, Ron.
And you said the word. And you said the word neat.
Spears, you're on with Ron McGill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead, Spears.
How you doing, Ron? I have floor to ceiling windows, and in my backyard I have a hawk, and he flies into the window. Just stuns himself. And I'm trying to see, is that normal? Because it scared the heck out of everybody in my family when we saw it, but he's done it more than once.
Yeah, and probably not going to only just be a hawk. Floor-to-ceiling windows, what they do is they reflect the environment in front of it. The hawk doesn't realize there's a window there, and so many birds die that way. They actually break their necks by striking the windows because they don't realize it's there. They see the reflection of the forest behind them, and they think they're flying into the forest. You can go online and you purchase this little type of film that goes on your window, and the birds can see it, and they won't strike the window. So please do that because it's a major killer of birds. People have windows, and I understand the joy of having these floor-to-ceiling windows, but you can just take this film that doesn't cost very much at all, put it on the windows, and the birds will not strike the windows anymore.
That's great advice. Rick,
it's real important, too, because a lot of birds die every year because of that.
No, that's great. That's great. Rick, you're on with Ron McGill of Zoo Miami.
Hey, Ron, question for you. When you and Dan were setting your animal football lineups, I noticed nobody picked a silverback gorilla as possibly carrying the ball or tackling somebody. Wouldn't that be a stronger, smarter animal to play football with?
Certainly a good animal for tackling, absolutely. But, as far as running goes, listen, I'm not leaving. That rhino, you give the ball to the rhino, he goes straight ahead. Nothing stops the rhino. Don't even let Dan talk about this because he's clueless when he comes into this stuff.
No, but I'm saying
Nothing
in passing situations, if I've got a couple gorillas coming off of the edge, what are you going to do? That's fine running the ball, but now I got you in 3rd and 30.
No, but I'm telling you, I got a giraffe.
And here come my gorillas.
Taller than anybody.
Here come my gorillas. What you going to do?
What are you going to do? I've seen a giraffe kick a lion and kill it. Okay.
And I've seen people tackle Joe Flacco when he gets in the open field, and that's what would happen to a giraffe.
Dan, don't go off on a tangent, Dan. The bottom line is, I go out with a giraffe as a wide receiver and just throw it up in the air. Who's going to get it? Who's going to jump that high, Dan?
That's a great point.
No, but I'm not giving you any pass rush because I'm fair enough. But I am covering my secondary because I've got a pass rush, as I mentioned, of gorillas. Like now, what you going to do? Because you're never getting the pass off. We got 3rd and 30. You're dropping back, and here come the gorillas.
Yeah, and I got an offensive line of elephants.
No, that doesn't matter to me.
It never does, Matt.
I don't care.
See, that's the problem, Dan.
Because they got gorillas coming off the edge. And what are the elephants going to do? They're all going to look like Eric Flowers.
Your gorillas are going through my offensive line of elephants?
Around them.
Around elephants, Dan.
Yeah, because all your elephants are like that big meathead Baselli.
Listen to what you're saying.
Yeah, that's right. I'm giving the elephant a swim move with one of my gorillas, and look out.
But it would slow down the gorillas, you agree?
It would. I mean, not really. No, because the elephants would have so much time coming out of their stance. Like the elephant would go drop back. The elephant would try to cheat by doing what those circus elephants do, where their 2 legs are up. He would try to cheat to get in a pass blocking situation. And here comes my elephant right around, like right under him, right around him.
Pounds. You have a trunk that has over 40,000 muscles in it that'll just take your freaking gorillas out like they were made out of styrofoam, brother. Done.
I mean, he's right. I mean, think about that. With the trunk, takes to the gorilla ends up on the sideline somewhere.
Oh, man, I'm breaking that trunk.
No. Listen, they're in concussion protocol for years, okay?
For years.
Ryan, you're on with Ron McGill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead, Ryan.
Hi, Ron. My kids love the movie Ratatouille, and it made me wonder, are there any animals in the wildlife that purposely try to put together flavor combinations for meals?
Yeah, we've seen chimps. A lot of primates do that. They actually will mix different things. They'll mix honey with different types of leaves, and they'll take some sweeteners, some sap from different types of plants, and put it onto different food stuff. So they are kind of sweetening things up. It tends to be sugar that tends to enhance their meal. So anything they find sweet, they will kind of mix and match.
Christian, you're on ESPN Radio with Ron McGill. Go ahead, Christian.
Hey, Ron, I recently saw a video of a beached whale being exploded. Do you think this is the best way to go about removing it, and have you ever been a part of this?
I have been a part of trying to return beached, it was pilot whales back into the water. Unfortunately, that rarely works. We just have to find out why the whales are beaching themselves in the first place. Usually it's some type of illness or some type of catastrophic problem that's happening throughout the pod of whales. More often than not, even when we're successful getting them out to the ocean, they end up re-beaching themselves. So it's a very difficult situation. It's a heartbreaking situation. We just need to understand what's causing it. Sometimes
Ron, but if I may, Ron, he was asking you, I think, about specifically exploding whales.
Oh, no, the exploding whale, what happens is when they die on the beach, they become so full of gases that they inflate. It's just like any animal that dies, as decomposition takes place. We've actually had to do that where, this is going to sound terrible, but we stand far away and we actually will throw a knife at it so that it kind of blows up on its own. It doesn't blow up on you and all the gases go out. It's one of the most horrible things you could ever see. And the smell is overwhelming. But these animals, they'll bloat full of gases after decomposition.
That's what he was asking you. So tell us more about this situation where, again, let's cover this. I can't believe we've been doing the show with you this long and have never covered this ground. Tell us about this situation where you were confronted with an exploding whale and you threw a knife from a distance that engulfed your face in a horrible smell.
Yeah, well, it was a pilot whale that had been
dead on the beach for quite a while. It gets bloated. And you can't go in there and start, what they try to do, they try to do a necropsy, which is an autopsy on the animal. But you can't make that first cut and step right next to the animal because it's literally blown up like a balloon full of gases. And when you make that first cut, it just goes and everything. I mean, it's just so putrid. Horribly marine mammals. It's like rancid milk, and it just blows up all over your face. So I've actually been with the veterinarians when they've actually taken a knife and thrown it there and just kind of blown it up like a balloon from far away, so it blows up and you're not right next to it and you don't get all that stuff all over the place. And then once it's blown up and the gases are out, then you can go in and start doing the real dirty work.
Ron, was it un machete?
No. Well, yeah, we threw a machete. Actually, there's a big machete is what you do use.
So wait a minute. What were the rejected options? Like, did you guys go through a plan of what are we going to do? I'll go over here with this, and then we'll just throw a machete.
Yeah, well, it sounds crude, Dan, but it's very simple, and it's the way you get it done right away, and then you can approach it. You don't want to make that first cut standing right next to the carcass. I'm telling you, it can literally explode.
All right, Dominique, you're on ESPN Radio with Ron McGill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead, Dominique.
Ron, what's the most unique procreation tactics in the animal kingdom? Do any animals reproduce asexually? Also, unicorn whales. What?
Unicorn whales? Unicorn whales are narwhals. That's what they call the unicorn whales. The narwhal. It has the tusk that comes out. As far as procreation goes, guys, there's so many different types. I mean, you can go down to the very lowest thing, like a bed bug. A bed bug actually has a big spear, has its male reproductive organ, and the female does not have a receptacle to receive that spear. So what the bed bug does, it literally impales the female. Okay, and stabs her with this spear, makes a hole in her body, and that's how he reproduces and deposits his reproductive material into the female that way. And it's just disgusting. It's horrible. It's like the bed bug with the biggest sword, and many times will kill the female by making a puncture that's too big. It's kind of brutal. I know. I'm sorry.
But this has been a great segment. Like you brought thunder and lightning to this.
No,
segment.
I just kind of made you realize that your animal sports still suck.
Yeah, you were great though. But you were great. Adam, you're on ESPN Radio. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey guys, how you doing, Ron? Normally I'd ask you about Canadian beavers and why they are superior to all other beavers, but I actually have a movie question. I want to know
what? Wait a minute! He's trying to sneak in here again. What?
Lady
What
Bird,
the hell happened there?
Poignant mother-daughter movies of all time, and two guys called Larry Bird. Are you kidding me?
Nothing. Somebody asked a question about Larry Bird. Don't pay any attention to him.
Oh, okay. I didn't get anything there.
All right, never mind. It's not important. See you later, Ron.
Lady Bird. Lady Bird.
Demand once more money.
I mean, that guy. You can sleep in heavenly peace when you get yourself a mattress from Lisa. Tell him, Stu Got.
Heavenly peace. I get heavenly peace when I hear Lady Bird, not Larry Bird. Mothers and daughters are weeping to see the film. We're thinking about...
Oh, man.
Kevin McHale is not showing up.
Come on, get out of here!
Don Lebatard.
So I keep reading about whales and dolphins and blah, blah, blah. Then I stumble upon this great animal called the narwhal, which is essentially a unicorn whale. A unicorn whale.
What?
Google it.
Stugats.
Oh, my God.
Narwhal.
Thank you.
Look at it. Life changer. Narwhal.
This is the Don Lebatard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
We're now 11 minutes and 45 seconds from something we're all very excited about, which is Chris Sims unveiling number 68 on his ranking of the NFL's best quarterbacks. Number 70 was Blake Bortles.
Yes.
Number 69 was Austin Davis.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
And now we're waiting for number 68. That is upcoming with Chris Sims.
And Cody Kessler, by the way, was 71.
71, right.
Yeah.
Do you want 72 and 68 today or just 68? You want the countdown here?
Just count down. We're going to count down. We signed Chris Sims yesterday to a 68-day contract where he just counts us down in, I don't know, mid-March to the number one quarterback in the world, according to Chris Sims.
I know we spoke to him briefly about it yesterday, but that story about him almost dying.
Yeah.
What? What? It felt like a 5-pound weight was on his chest, and it was 9 pints of blood.
Oh, I don't think he said a 5-pound weight. He said a 500-pound man was sitting on his chest.
Man.
And he said it was because it wasn't 5 pints of blood; that it was, I think it was 9. pints of blood.
Nine
the
pints.
Pool was
blood.
it was just forming in his.
Well,
stomach.
you really nailed all the details on that story.
I said 9 pints of blood. Either way. He had to say goodbye to his wife.
The worst, man. The worst. I think there's a lifetime of resentments coming forth on Stu Guys. He has taken the pounding around here for so long that his one ability to get power is just to yell at people that they owe money. Like
it feels great. I'm not going to lie.
Well, you're clearly addicted to it. Like you're just derailing every show we do and now every segment by just yelling. That's a fine. And it's just a resentful clamoring back for some of the power that you've never really had around here.
You watch your tone.
We've created.
You're coming close.
We've created a monster, though. This is what's happening. You know what they're saying? You know what they're saying in politics? That you take the consumer and you bury him in or her in so many things that are hard to prove or distruths or lies that eventually you just stop caring about whether something's the truth or not anymore because everything is just a bombardment. You're hit every day with so many lies that you don't even want to fact check anything anymore. You're just tired. And this is what Stugotz is doing with the fines. He's trying to attack every crevice of the show by yelling at everybody that there are fines, and it's because he's trying to protect his own dollars. The more time he's fining us, the fewer times he's getting fined. He thinks, except we're now losing count. We've lost. Somebody has said, Amin sent me a note saying Stugotz now needs to be fined every time that he says he doesn't have money and does.
Oh, really? That's great. I mean, come here more than once a month and you can start making some rules on the show, okay? Because what does Amin going to be the commissioner of the fine system now? I have to deal with Sarah on the grid of death and now Amin on the fine system? Please. Amin. That's a fine for Amin. Wherever you are, put $5 down on a table.
That's a fine for Amin.
Yeah, put up $5. I'll be there later this afternoon to pick it up, to collect. He owes me $5. And the fine bucket should go to me. For 15 years, I've taken all the criticism I've taken on the show and done everything I could do for the show, including just being a human piñata. I feel like the fine bucket should just be cut my head off and put the money in my head.
What?
That would result in my death. That's not a good idea.
Don Lebatard.
You are the best, and when I say the best, I mean the very worst and most evil.
Stugotz.
The worst.
But this time, it's for real.
Worst.
This is the Don Lebatard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Just moments away from Chris Sims joining us and telling us the 68th best quarterback in the NFL. He'll join us in just a minute here on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. Here's your SportsCenter update. The International Olympic Committee has suspended the Russian Olympic Committee for systematic manipulation of the anti-doping rules and system, but will permit individual athletes to compete in the upcoming Winter Games if they meet standards determined by an IOC-convened panel.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Sure.
Why can't we make that, instead of IOC and all that reading, why can't it just be Russia, doping, they're not allowed to participate in anything, or they are? Why all those letters and all that? Why can't it just be quick the way Stugotz would do it?
I'm not writing them. I'll start writing them, I guess. I happen to agree with you. I'm not going to blame anyone here. Your tone, be careful. But I'm not going to blame anyone here because that would get me a fine. I do want to blame someone, but I'm not going to do it. It's Roy. Forget it.
How many times have I said it?
Let me see if I have
do
some
I have
money.
to keep saying it? Like, why? Like, stop.
I don't have money today. I'm with you. Bengal safety George Ioka had his one-game suspension reduced to a $36,464.50 fine. This is what you're talking about. George Iocca, 1-game suspension reduced. That's it. And then we move on to, and finally, on average, you see 7 psychopaths a day. I mean, you see one every day. Talking about Roy. No matter what your budget is, take the JCPenney Holiday Challenge and find surprising gifts at even more surprising prices. Save on toys, apparel, and name brand gifts your family will love. Come in the store or go to jcp.com and get everything on your list for less than you think. JCPenney. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in the Sports Center on ESPN Radio all throughout the day. I love you, Roy.
So we forgot that Chris Sims gave us number 68 yesterday, so we were all excited for number 68 today, but he gave us TJ Yates yesterday.
Oh, that's right.
So we forgot all about that. So today we're on 67. This is Chris Sims of Bleacher Report. He gave you his bona fides yesterday in a total annihilation of Greg Cody's entire existence. I mean, it was wonderful to watch. And so the 67th best quarterback, according to Chris Sims of Bleacher Report, is?
Oh, hello, guys. It is Cardale Jones, the third-string quarterback for the Los Angeles Chargers.
Wow.
Ahead of Blake Bortles.
Ahead of Blake Bortles. Yeah. Okay, a little bit of a shocker.
Yeah.
Yep, shocking upset there, though. You know what's crazy is, I made this statement kind of just roughly saying, like, that's where Blake Bortles is as a starting quarterback. And the more I look at all the quarterbacks in the NFL, I'm not so sure he might be a few spots lower than 70, but we'll keep him at 70 for now.
All right. Did you make the whole list last night, or did you just make enough of it to know that you might have him too high?
Enough of it to know that he's too high, but I'm going to finish the list today to know tomorrow, so I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Okay, we look forward to checking in with you tomorrow. Go again, check him out. Check out his podcast. All Bleacher Report thinks. Thank you, Chris. We'll and thank you for signing this contract with us for now.
No problem. Should I hang up, or are you going to ask me back on in 3 seconds?
No, you can go now.
Yeah,
you can go
good.
this time.
You're good.
I don't think we need anything from you anymore.
All right, see you guys.
Thank you.
All right, see you, man.
Although Mike did have some.
Oh wait,
yeah, I did, because he mentioned yesterday that he had to say goodbye to his wife, and he didn't know if he was coming back, and we didn't really dig into that.
Yeah, we should.
All right, is he still
Get
there?
him back.
Is he still there? Chris,
I'm here.
Hey,
Okay.
what's up? Everything okay at home, or?
So no, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. Stugotz, no, he had to say goodbye to his wife almost because he was close to dying. Were you not here for that story yesterday?
No, I was. I was here for it, but it was a casual thing, just making sure everything's okay at home. That's all. Polite thing to do.
Everything's good.
You told us yesterday when your spleen exploded on the field, John Gruden coach team. You didn't tell us you scored a touchdown, right? You finished the game, didn't you? Did you finish?
I finished the game. I sucked it up. I did. Yes, I actually came out of the game because the curtains went down on me in the middle of a snap. Like literally where, thank God, my left guard jumped off sides when I went on a hard count, and the curtains were coming down as I was underneath the center. And I went out of the game. I missed a series to go get an IV, and I came back. I thought I led us on the game-winning drive, and they ended up kicking like a 58-yard field goal to beat us with no time left. It was
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Oh, that hurts.
Hold on. When you say the curtains were coming down, you almost passed out while under center during an NFL game?
I did, yes. I really was. Cadillac Williams is behind me, if you guys remember him, and we had a running play to the left, and I just was, as I was going blue 85, all of a sudden I was going, damn, everything's getting black in here. What's going on? And I said, well, what am I going to do? And I was literally just getting ready to just kind of go back to that area and stick my hand out, and hopefully he got the ball, but my left guard, Dan Benning, thank God, jumped off sides. I went to a knee, got an IV, came back.
And so how do we feel about the doctors diagnosing your exploding spleen with, how about some IV juices?
Well, they weren't gonna. They had no control over me. You know, this is my problem right now with the whole concussion thing too. These are grown men. I don't care. Like, we need to sign a waiver that just says, like, I was never under the impersonation that, or the impression, that Ray Lewis and Julius Peppers running into me full speed was healthy for my body. I kind of knew that. So,
yes.
You know, if I get my bell wrong, I'm gonna be like, hey, screw you. I'm a grown man. If my bell wants to be wrong, it can be wrong. I'm coming back in the game, and that's what that was that day. They weren't taking me out. We weren't playing good, and I wasn't coming out of the game no matter what.
Chris, though, in retrospect, given that you almost died and given that your wife was called to the hospital and she was told you're probably not going to make it, go ahead and say goodbye now. In retrospect, as an adult, you could look back and say that probably wasn't the healthiest attitude.
I can definitely look back and go, yes, maybe we could have got out of the game a little earlier to avoid total disaster, and maybe it wouldn't have completely ruined my career. Yes, yes.
But Chris, I mean, you did all that, and the 58-yarder still beat you.
Oh, I know. Heartbreaker. Like, yeah, a spleen breaker, for lack of a better phrase.
All right.
It really was. It was a bad day, man.
All right. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you for being on with us.
Be good. See ya.
See ya, man. All right.
This is going to be...
I have more. I want to know. Did he say who kicked that field goal? Or
who was the person that hit him?
Yeah.
Was it a routine hit?
No, I don't want to ask
get
him
back.
back. No, let's just let him go. I'm not going to do this every day for 68 days. Let's just let it go. Let it go. Sometimes he will just appear, and it'll be just Cardale Jones is number 67, and then he's gone.
But he tells such great stories that beg follow-ups.
I still have more on this
I
whole
got more on everything.
Tomorrow.
Davis is the one that hit me, if you want to know.
Get out of here!
Who kicked the field goal? Who kicked the field goal?
Get out of here!
I can't remember who the damn field goal kicker is, but I know he made it. That's all I know.
All right. I'm glad everything's okay at home.
All right, quit.
Yep, all good.
See you later. You are such a fraud. How about that one? How about Stugatz?
I'm good, man.
When Mike said he had to say goodbye to his wife, Stugatz forgot totally about the story from yesterday that made that a deathbed story and comes in with the opener of, I hope everything's okay at home.
I thought I fooled you.
I mean, in terms
Can't
of
sneak one past you.
You being maximum you right there. Like, you have so little respect for everything that we do around here and every word spoken by anybody in the universe.
And you, a regular Sherlock Holmes.
Didn't take that much to crack that case.
Again, I want to revisit this for a second.
What happened?
Yesterday on the show, Chris Sims told a fairly memorable story about saying goodbye to his wife because his spleen ruptured during an NFL game.
Yeah.
Saying goodbye to his wife because he thought he was going to be an on-field casualty, an NFL casualty. He told you that story. Mike Ryan repeats it with the understanding that you would understand that that story's been told to you and this audience yesterday. Mike Ryan repeats it by saying he said goodbye to his wife. I have some follow-up questions. He comes on here, and your first question to him was, is everything okay at home?
It's a polite thing to ask.
You can listen to the Dan Levatar Show with the Stugatz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPNU.